Namaskar. I'm happy to be here with you on this session on modern science and Ayurveda. At the outset, let me thank Vibha for this wonderful initiative. When many people are sitting at home, this is a good opportunity to learn from each other. And Vibha is doing wonderful work in propagation of science. And I'm happy to be connected with you today in this live session. Modern science and Ayurveda, I would like to start first with modern science, just to quick update on modern science. Most of us study that in our schools. Modern science actually is based on a Aristotelian logic, which trusts that we can divide large things into small parts, and each part we can study in great detail, which is reproducible and which is scientifically studied and it is evidence based. As against that, Ayurveda is, that it has a thousands of years of tradition. People are practicing it live, and it is actually part of our own household. Every house in India has in some way or other Ayurveda in our home. Ayurveda is in our kitchen. Ayurveda is our daily practice. The concepts of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Our parents may be also telling us that please don't do this, please don't eat that. This will be hot for you. This will be cold in this season. Don't do this. So there is a connection between today what we are doing and what has Shastras have told us. What we call it as connection between the living tradition or great tradition and little traditions. So this kind of a connection continues Ayurveda as a living tradition. Today also Ayurveda is living, although Charak Samhita may have been there for thousands of years earlier. It is today in living practice. Now, Ayurveda concept is little different. Ayurveda concept is more holistic, and Ayurveda looks at not only parts but as a whole. And so Ayurveda looks at human body not in parts, not only in organs, but Ayurveda looks at us as a human being. And this is a major difference between modern science or modern medicine and Ayurveda. You will ask me my background. Actually, I am basically a biochemist. I did my MS in biochemistry. There was Ayurveda. My grandmother, my auntie, my aunt, they were using Ayurveda for little things you may call it as kitchen medicine, you may call it as home remedies, whatever. But in real sense, it has connection with Ayurveda. So I had some interest, in my childhood, I had seen something happening. I had seen some benefits happening to me. And so when I went to masters, I would like to share this story of myself, how I, from modern science background, went into Ayurveda. What attracted me to do research in Ayurveda? So this I wanted to share with you in a kind of an informal dialogue with you. Just I wanted to share. So I am starting with my childhood. In my childhood, when my home, there, if you have a deep wound, for example, a deep nail or thorn goes into your toe, and then there is a wound inside, there is a threat of causing tetanus like infection, and what otherwise in home they will do. My grandmother used to take a black nut, what we call it as semicarpus anacardium, and she will put that in a needle, put it on the flame, oil will come out of it, and the hot oil she used to just put it on that part where that thorn has gone, and pain used to go. There was no infection later. Of course, tetanus, you have to protect yourself. Now there are many ways to do it, but at that time I had seen that these simple measures used to give me relief. For example, if I have something like diarrhea, symptoms like diarrhea or dysentery like symptoms, that time water quality was also not as good as today we have. So we used to have these kinds of troubles, little troubles. So they will give us something like ajwan and onion ajwan mixed together, simple home remedies, and that used to really help. Or in advanced cases, I remember they used to give me Kuteja Parpati. There was an Ayurvedic preparation called Kuteja Parpati. And I still remember after taking that, I used to be all right. And not only me, many people in my family, many people outside also have seen that they were getting relief from this. Or for example, you have fever, you have common cold. Now we are facing this COVID like terrible situation here, So at that time, situation also we are getting viral fevers, sneezing, cold, running nose, and they used to give us some Tribhuvan Kirti. If we have cough, they used to give us Sitopaladi Churna. So all these simple remedies, I had seen that they really work. So when I was a student of science, I thought that it is my responsibility as Indian citizen, as a person who is carrying the Indian culture, to see what I have experienced in my childhood, how it looks in the laboratory. So I decided to take my MSc project on this Bhallataka or Bibba, or in English or botanical term, it is called as Semicarpus anacardium. And it is a black nut. It is also called as Dhobie's marking nut because the black oil which comes out of that, it gets converted, oxidized, and forms a resin which is so strong that it is normally used to coat our plywood, what you call it as phenol bonded plywood, in that this semicarpus oil or cashew nut oil, these oils are used. So this marking nut was very, very interesting for me because Ayurveda, they have said that it has a great potential, and it can actually, it is called as, many times it is called as Ardha Vaidya, meaning many conditions you will be able to take care with this. But at the same time, this Biba or Bhallataka is very, very difficult plant to handle, because if a hypersensitive individual comes in, that person can get into allergic or hypersensitive reaction, which can be very, very severe. So it has to be used under a very, very special care. So in our home, my grandmother or my auntie was very much experienced in handling this kind of a plant. So she was giving, in case you have this kind of allergy, she immediately knew the antidote for that also. She may go get some coriander, make some juice out of it, put it on that, or make some coconut oil preparation and put it on that, and the allergy used to get subsided. So this, now what I'm going to share with you is very interesting. When I went for my MSc project, when all my friends had selected, because our laboratory was one of the top laboratories that time, which was working on protein chemistry, evolutionary biology. We were also working, so everybody was going on in the area like studying enzymes, enzymology, proteins, DNA, RNA were just coming up that time. Nucleic acid studies were just coming up that time. So many of my friends were taking projects based on that, which was really trend, we can say at that time. But I decided that I will do my project on Ayurveda. And people said that, what are you doing? You are doing MSc biochemistry, and why you want to take this chadibati and all that in our laboratory and you do it? But my supervisor was very open, Professor John Barnabas. He said, no, if you want to work, if you are interested, I will support you. So he said that, okay, you work on that. And then my problem was I wanted to work on this plant to see that what it was doing to my deep wound, how it was preventing my tetanus infection. So I wanted to study effect of this plant on Clostridium tetani, which causes tetanus disease. But culturing Clostridium tetani at that time was not easy, because Clostridium tetani is an anaerobic organism. That means if it comes in contact with oxygen, it dies. And so if we want to really use it in a laboratory, you have to have a specialized facility. So then I started inquiring about it. Then I realized that tetanus toxoid is being prepared by Serum Institute of India in Pune itself. So I went there. I discussed with scientists at Serum Institute. And initially they were a little reluctant, but then when they saw my interest and enthusiasm, they said, okay, we'll give you a chance. Okay, do it. So I did that experiment, and I did Clostridium tetani culture, and in vitro we studied and we showed that nanogram level quantity of these materials, this oil of Clostridium tetani was inhibiting, not only inhibiting, but killing what we call it as bactericidal activity. At nanogram quantity, this drug was killing all the Clostridium tetani organism. And not only Clostridium tetani organism, but it was also killing Clostridium welchii, Clostridium sporogenes, which are also responsible for more dangerous diseases like gangrene, gangrene. So based on this experiment, I thought that, look, what I experienced in my childhood, in the laboratory, actually I can see that this Bhallataka, this Bibba, this Semicarpus anacardium is actually killing Clostridium tetani, which people may not know what Clostridium tetani means at that time. In rural area, it is being used very extensively. People may not know what is it, but their experience had told them, and finally we could show that in the laboratory. Now, second phase, I was continuing on the same plant because the same plant was also supposed to be effective in cancer. So at that time, a major project was going on in collaboration with National Chemical Laboratory in Pune, Hafkin Institute in Mumbai, and Cancer Research Institute in Mumbai, what is today known as ACTRACT or Tata Cancer Institute, in Mumbai. And our job was to find out which component from this Bhallataka oil is effective for treating cancer. So at that time, I was working in Pune. We were doing all chemistry at National Chemical Laboratory, and the pharmacology and toxicology was being done at Hafkin Institute in Mumbai. So when we started separating this oil, fractionating this oil using chemical techniques, we saw that as we are going separating out this, the activity was going. Normally, how that time we used to do activity, anti-cancer activity, we used to get tumor cells, we used to inject them in animals. After we inject them in animals, a defined amount of cells, we know how long this animal is going to live. So we call it as, it's the lifespan of that animal. Now, when we are giving any drug, and if that drug has anti-cancer activity, the lifespan of that animal will increase. So any percentage increase in lifespan is considered as anti-cancer activity. So we showed that crude Bhallatak extracts were showing very good anti-cancer activity, up to 70% anti-cancer activity. But the moment we started separating them out, we started losing the activity. And we were very surprised, that we wanted to have a pure compound which can be used in cancer. But as we go on purifying it, activity was getting lost. So this was another lesson to me that what we see in the laboratory need not always be taken for granted. So we said that there must be some mechanism which is happening, why only crude is active and why not pure compounds are active. Then we later on realized that in nature there are various plants which have various compounds, and now we know that multi-targets are important in complicated diseases, not only one target. So these mixtures or these extracts or these crudes can target at one time many targets, and therefore if you go on reducing those ingredients and become more and more specific, you may lose this activity. And this is what's one of the component of why we call Ayurveda as kind of a holistic treatment, because it is using whole material as it occurs in nature. Now our next phase was to look at its toxicity. While we were looking at its toxicity, I was very sure because I had consumed this Bhallataka myself, in a fairly good amount. Because if you have some kind of an amoebic dysentery kind of a thing, my aunt, she used to give me this Bhallataka. They used to call it as Bhallataka Shevta, and they just take some sugar. They will put this sprinkle of this hot oil in that, and then they used to give us, and you eat that, and after you eat that, your amoebic dysentery problems used to go. So I had that experience at that time. So we said that let's see what this toxicity of this Bhallataka is. And we planned a very good toxicity study. This is by 80-50, so we have a defined range of doses, and we give these doses to experimental animals. And these animals, we observe how long they are living and when they are dying. And 50% of the animals, when they die, we look at that dose where 50% animals are dying. We call it as LD50 or lethal dose at 50%. So we were trying to look at this. And to my surprise, Next day, when I went to the Hafkin Institute, I found all the mice were dead. And I was surprised. I said that I have given them much less material than I have consumed. And here, look at this, every animal has died. And my colleagues were so surprised. They said that you are dealing with extremely toxic material. Please don't do this. This is very, very poisonous. Every animal is dying. I said, no, I can't trust my own results, because, I have consumed much more than what I have given it to these animals. So while animals are dying and our protocol is also correct, something is wrong somewhere. So I decided to then meet Ayurvedic Vaidya. And first time I had this experience that if you really want to have your knowledge, you should go to people who own that knowledge. And you should not keep any kind of ego or any kind of bias in your mind. With open mind, you should go. So I went and met one of the most leading Vaidya in Pune city. His name was Dr. Vaidya Nanal, Bhapu Nanal. Bhapu Nanal is one of the outstanding Vaidya. He is no more, but Nanal family as a whole in Pune is very, very renowned in Ayurveda. And Bhapu Nanal told me that time, look, what you are doing is not Ayurveda. I told him, what do you mean? I'm using Ayurvedic plant and you are saying it is not Ayurveda. Yeah, he said that you may be using Ayurvedic plant, but you are not using it as per Ayurveda. And that started thought process in my mind. Oh, I'm doing something different. I told him, then he asked me, how are you administering this material? I said that, look, this is oil. I have to forcefully feed it to animals. So I have to convert it into some kind of a dosage form. So I'm using twin-80 saline. I'm making a emulsion of that. And I'm injecting this emulsion in animals. This is a normal process we follow in all processes. He said that no, but we don't do that at where we don't ballataka by making its emulsion. Then I said, what do you do? He said that we give in variety of different forms based on for what purpose you want to use it. So for you want to use it, we can safe way to use it is in ghee or butter oil. Then I asked him, but Nanalji, sir, this butter oil standardization itself will take a lot of time and I have very little time. I have to complete this experiment. Can you give me some alternative? He said, well, it is not a very good alternative, but you can use peanut oil. And I could get a standardized peanut oil from Chakan mill and that I could use. So I did same experiment, same setup, same amino, same doses. One set I gave Balatak extract as I had done earlier with twin-80 saline emulsion or suspension. And then second group, I used this extract diluted in peanut oil. And next day, to all of us were surprised that the group which received Balatak in peanut oil, no animal died. All animals were actually alive. And when we did this experiment repeatedly and gave more doses for a week, 10 days, we found that actually animals, instead of dying, animals were becoming healthy. And in Ayurveda, there is a term called rasayana. It increases immunity, increases body's resistance. In today's COVID syndrome, increasing immunity is extremely important, as all of us know. So these rasayana effect we could see on these animals. Their weights were increasing, their skin, luster, hair, everything was becoming better as compared to the control group. And this taught me another lesson that in science, in laboratory also, you should challenge your own results. You should not blindly follow, even if everything is right on the face value, you should not blindly follow or accept. You should learn to challenge your own results. And then you will find new ways to move ahead in the science. So with these experiences, then I decided that rest of my career, I will work something related to Ayurveda and I'll try to see the science in Ayurveda. And I must tell you that modern science has a lot of limitations also. For example, and modern and traditional, actually, they are all connected. What we call it as traditional today, tomorrow becomes modern. So it's a continuum. What at one point of time, Greek traditional medicine was there, they went with modern science, and therefore they became modern medicine. But what happened? Ayurveda, unfortunately, because of several unfavorable conditions, several uh, uh, problems during that time in India, the colonial period, before that, the invasions, all this resulted into stagnancy in Ayurveda. So at that time, the more importance was to preserve knowledge. So that knowledge preservation was given priority, but the research on that was hampered. And so it was stagnated. And during colonial period, Ayurveda was not at all encouraged. So while many Ayurvedic Vaidyas, they strive hard to keep it alive, the modern medicine took over us. And then people started thinking that modern medicine is the only solution for everything. But I must tell you that modern medicine, while it has done wonders in surgery, in emergency care, as antibiotics and everything, it also has several limitations, especially when we come to what we call it as lifestyle diseases or chronic diseases or non-communicable diseases. Today we are facing a double burden or rather triple burden of disease in our society. And let me come with this initial background to now health. The triple burden of disease, what I am talking about, because we are losing health and therefore we are inviting diseases because of various reasons. And we say that these reasons are based on the determinants of health. Health is primarily determined by four parameters, four determinants, which are in most of them are in our hand. These are first and important is nutrition. Second is environment. Third is lifestyle. You can see that all these three are in our hand. And the fourth is genetics, which we can prevent to some extent. But if we are born with some inborn problems, then we can hardly do anything. But these three, we are responsible for it. If we go on the right track, we can get health. If we go on wrong track, we can lose health and invite diseases. For example, the diet, our traditional diet, we are losing. We have forgotten what millets are. We have forgotten our traditional food, and we adopted this Western food culture, fast food culture, and because of that, lot of obesity related problem, metabolic diseases problems are coming up, for which there are no ready answers in modern medicine as well. The other thing, we must remember that environmental deterioration, pollution. Now this today only I read the news that from Jalandhar city they can see Himalaya. Nobody had seen in our generation this kind of a scenario. Why it is happening? Because air has become clean. So this pollution is also affecting on our health. And lifestyle. We have changed our lifestyle. Earlier, so much of exercise used to happen automatically. We were walking, we were doing a lot of work, but today most of the work is sedentary, and on the other side we are less physical activity and more consumption of fat food. This kind of a vicious cycle we are in, and that leads to several disorders, which we call them as lifestyle disorders or non-communicable disorders. And this is very obvious when we are bringing the cinema hall in our living room, and when we are outsourcing our kitchen to something like Swiggy. This is what is going to happen. So we have to go back to our roots and learn from our own culture and go back to our own culture if we want to tackle today's problem. So this is what I realized at that time. We started interdisciplinary school of health sciences at that time. And in interdisciplinary school of health sciences, we established now a center for complementary and integrative health. Because the Ayurveda, although people earlier was classifying it as alternative medicine, we challenged it. We said Ayurveda is not alternative medicine. For India, Ayurveda can be main medicine. Not for India. For many conditions, Ayurveda can be main medicine for the world. For example, lifestyle diseases, Ayurveda and yoga can be the mainstream solution for the world. So for that purpose, we have to bring modern science and connect it with Ayurveda. You know, So Ayurveda and modern science are not separate to each other. As I was telling you, while modern science was developed based on Aristotelian logic, Ayurveda is developed on Sankhya and Vaisheshika philosophy. In Ayurveda, not just atom and molecule language is there, but they talk in terms of Dravya Guna Vidyan, they talk in terms of Pancha Mahabhuta, they talk in terms of Tridosha. So all these language is different in Ayurveda, but essentially Ayurveda is a holistic science which looks at the human being, and that's what the modern medicine is now going in that direction. Today, modern medicine is going in a direction what is known as personalized medicine. You know, Earlier we used to think that if we take medicine, it will give the same effect to us. In modern medicine also they were believing if you have headache, if you take aspirin, everybody will be cured of headache. But recently, 10, 15 years ago, when the genomics was evolving and the human genome project was completed, people realized that our assumption is not correct because there are genetic differences. This happened for the first time in cancer. They identified three genetic subtypes of cancer, and they showed that particular drugs are effective for particular subtype of diseases, cancer. Not all cancer drugs will be effective to all patients. So this was the early indication, and from there the new science emerged, which is now known as pharmacogenomics. What happens, if you take aspirin, some people, 500 milligram of aspirin will give excellent results and your headache will be gone. For some people, the same dose may not have any result. They will not have, they will keep on headache. They may need two tablets of aspirin. Some people, even with one tablet of aspirin, may experience acidity, may experience some different thing, because aspirin can cause acidity. So the one aspirin can have different effect because all of us different, look different, think different. How can we believe that we can respond in the same manner to the same drug? So this hypothesis, which was earlier, is no more true now, and pharmacogenomics now tells us that you can actually design a medicine or therapy which is suitable for your own genetic makeup. Now look at this interesting thing. Ayurveda was telling us the same thing for thousands of years. Ayurveda was telling us that if you want to give medicine, medicine is not given for your symptoms. Medicine is given to you. So if there is a symptom for Vata, Pitta and Kapha, different disease strategies will be opted. Different medicine will be suitable for Vata Prakriti person, different medicine will be suitable for Kapha Prakriti person, different medicine will be suitable for Pitta Prakriti person, although symptoms may look like same. So this kind of a classification of human population is excellently done by Ayurveda, and therefore in year 2000 we made a hypothesis that Ayurveda is a personalized medicine. And then what we did at that time, we were having a cohort because our group was working in rheumatoid arthritis, and one of the leading physicians from Pune, Dr. Arvind Chopra, was our clinical investigator. So we had a cohort of rheumatoid arthritis patients. And in rheumatoid arthritis, there is one gene called HLA gene. That HLA gene and rheumatoid arthritis relationship is very well known. So we decided that we will take rheumatoid arthritis patients and we will divide them blindly with help of Ayurvedic physician into Vat, Pitta and Kapha. This was a blind study. Remember, blind study. So there is no question of any bias. So we did this blind study on 76 subjects of patients of having rheumatoid arthritis. Now we did a study by taking HLA gene. We took HLA DRB1 gene and we looked at its polymorphism. Polymorphism means each gene will have several alleles. In this HLA DRB1 gene, there are 13, 14 alleles. So we saw and we demonstrated actually by doing the analysis, on PCR that the allele distribution in Vata, Pitta and Kapha is statistically different. For the first time in the world, a solid support to traditional or Ayurvedic concept of Prakriti or Dosha Prakriti was demonstrated in a small lab in Pune University. Dr. Kalpana Joshi, who is in Pune, she actually did the whole work. And Dr. Arvind Chopra, Kalpana Joshi and myself, Kalpana Joshi presented this work at Cold Spring Harbor Symposium in Pharmacogenomics in the US. And parallelly, we published this work on in the International Journal in 2004. So this opened up a new opportunity for research in Ayurveda, research in modern medicine only. I'm telling you that our Shastras are so rich that Shastras can give new leads, new innovative leads to modern science. This is what is the strength of our Shastra. But what we should do, we should not keep on only reciting our Shastra. Shlokas are important, but shlokas should be converted into science. Science can progress. And this is what one or two examples which I am giving you today. First example, Bhallataka I give. Second example of pharmacogenomics I give. The new discipline has emerged, which is now known as Ayurgenomics. And now many groups are working on Ayurgenomics all over India, all over world actually. Many groups are working to understand, and many groups have worked much more detailed than what we had worked at that time. Later, we also showed that Ayurveda classification of Prakriti also has relevance, what in modern science we are known as fast metabolizers and slow metabolizers. So we showed that the alleles which are specifically present in in rapid metabolizers are predominant in Pitta Prakriti persons. So this Prakriti typing is an excellent tool Ayurveda has, and based on Prakriti typing, actually modern medicine diagnosis also can be enriched. So during that time, what we did, we thought that we must have a good database and a database of Ayurvedic knowledge system, and we started developing a software because knowing all this, there are more than 5,000 sloka in Brihatrayi, Charak, Sushrut and Vagbhat. If you look at these three, and Madhav Nidan, Madhav Nidan is another wonderful classic which gives several signs and symptoms of diseases. So if these four, if you collect, there are several thousands of slokas. Now it is beyond common person's capacity to remember this by heart. So we thought that we must create a decision support system for this purpose. So we talked to Minister of Information Technology and we convinced them, and Department of Information Technology actually supported this study, and we did it in collaboration with CDAC in Pune, Gnan Prabodhini in Pune, and Ayurveda department in Pune, and we showed that we developed a new software which is now known as AyuSoft. And AyuSoft also has inbuilt system by which you can determine your own Prakriti. Through AyuSoft, you can determine your own Prakriti. If you know your own Prakriti, if you are Pitta Prakriti, you will know that in which season what you should eat, what you should avoid, what kind of exercise will suit you. So this entire lifestyle advice, what Ayurveda give in terms of Swastavrutta, is also based on dosha prakriti. So this AyuSoft helps you in getting you correct advice based on your lifestyle and your diet. So this AyuSoft, Ayurgenomics, together we thought that this can be used as a wonderful discovery engine to discover new drugs. I must tell you that although modern science has evolved so fast and rapidly, and technology has evolved so fast and rapidly, and genomic information has become so much available now, biology understanding has gone into much deeper. We were thinking that all this knowledge will help us in creating better and more drugs. But I must tell you that this has not happened. Advances in biotechnology or bioinformatics have not really helped in getting new chemical entities more. In fact, if you visit US FDA website, you will see that every year lot of drugs which are in the market are withdrawn, and number of drugs which are coming in market or coming or getting approved are becoming less and less. Now there is a big bottleneck, in pharmaceutical industry, and the new drug discovery is facing a major problem. So we think that new drug discovery can take many leads from our sciences like Ayurveda, and we have shown that in case of rheumatoid arthritis, we have shown that Ayurvedic formulation works much better than existing medicines which are available. In fact, we have shown that it is equivalent to today's anti-inflammatory drug, which is known as naproxen. And we have also shown that it is equivalent to another disease-modifying drug like hydroxychloroquine, which is now advised for the prophylactic treatment of COVID-19. So we have shown that Ayurvedic drugs are equivalent to these, and I think that these are such small glimpses of strength of Ayurveda and how Ayurveda can trigger major innovative initiatives in modern science. Modern science can get novel ideas from Ayurveda. At the same time, we must protect our ideas, and therefore CSIR had come out with TKDL, Tradition Knowledge Digital Library, as you know, and we have protected our intellectual property, and we know that credit must go to Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar, who fought this case through CSIR and won the turmeric battle, Haldi Ghat ki ladai, jo bolte hai, that he won there. And now Ayurveda has got a lot of acceptability and popularity, not only in India, but also in the West. I must tell you that Ministry of Ayush is doing wonderful work. They have several councils, and through these councils, Central Council of Ayurvedic Sciences is doing a lot of work, and a lot of science is coming out of these efforts. And I wanted to tell you that for future, when we are witnessing situations like today coronavirus, or tomorrow something else will come, or today we have major non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases, chronic diseases for which modern medicine has limitations, I think Ayurveda and yoga can be of great help. I would say that if medicine is for your body, meditation is medicine for your mind. And we must remember that power of mind to heal is supreme. And so power of mind to heal, we should not forget. Medicines are important, physical medicines are important, but Ayurveda is not only about physical medicine. I must tell you, Ayurveda is a holistic science of health. Ayurveda tells you how to avoid diseases, how to prevent diseases, how to get health, how to maintain health. And swastha vrutta, that's what Ayurveda calls it as. That's what is needed today. That's what we want today. Ayurveda, yoga, through meditation, effect of mind, it strengthens your mind. And if your mind is strong, your immunity becomes strong. And I must tell you, there are two important things accepted by modern science today we need to focus on. And one is inflammation, and second is what was telling you, the use of mind. So inflammation control and immunity. Immunity is the second thing which is very, very important. Inflammation and immunity, these are the most important target. And I must tell you, in Ayurveda, there is a group of medicinal plants called Rasayana. And these Rasayana plants are extremely useful in boosting your immunity, be it Guduchi, be it Ashwagandha, be it Shatavari, be it several of such Rasayana are available. And the inflammation control also can be effectively done by various interventions. And there are simple interventions, immunity boosting and inflammation reducing interventions, which are called as Panchakarma. Panchakarma, Snehan, Svedan, Virechan, all these are Panchakarma, but these are to be done under the supervision of expert Vaidya. We are not able to do it on our own, and we should not do this on our own. We should consult Ayurvedic Vaidya. Ayurvedic Vaidya will look at your Prakriti. Based on your Prakriti, that he will or she will investigate what is wrong with you to the root cause of the disease, disorder, or problem, and they will try to cure you by removing that root cause and not give you only symptomatic treatment. So now modern medicine also is going into direction of personalized medicine. And personalized medicine today is a very hot topic. And I think modern science and Ayurveda, if it comes together, new avenues will be open for new research for global benefit for humanity. And Ayurveda also considers that humanity cannot be in isolation. So the new concept of One Health, which has been proposed by WHO, is also concept of Ayurveda, because in Ayurveda you'll find there is Vruksha Ayurveda, there is Hasti Ayurveda, there is Mruga Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is considered animals, plants also. So this health is not monopoly of human beings. If the nature is healthy, human being is healthy. That is what is Ayurvedic or natural principle. And I think this is a great vision India has to give to the world. And I'm sure with your inquisitiveness, many more ideas will come. Please work. If you are scientists, work with Ayurvedic physicians, Ayurvedic Shastris. If you are Ayurvedic clinicians, work with modern scientists. The transdisciplinary approach is very important. We cannot now, in the new world, we cannot sit in our laboratory, close our eyes, and say that no, I am a physicist, I am a chemist, I am a biologist, I will do only my work. No, that is not sufficient. If I say that no, I am only Vaidya, I will do my Vaidya. No, I have to keep my eyes and ear open for the knowledge. I must seek knowledge, because I can tell you, if Charak would have been alive today, Charak would not have hesitated using new techniques like sonography or electron microscope. Charak would have used them, because diagnostics is not a monopoly of modern science, modern medicine. Diagnostics could be used by anybody, and I think this kind of an integrative approach, we are now promoting integrative approach, meaning we have to take best what is available wherever it is available, in the interest of patients and in the interest of the humanity, keeping all egos and all silos away. I think if we are able to do that in a robust fashion, bringing the good science to it, India will have a great leadership, and I can see that is happening already. And with this kind of effort through Vibha, I'm sure lot of young, curious people and students will join through this mission, and more new research will come out based on our own shastras. We should be proud of our own heritage. We should be proud of our own science. We should be proud of our own knowledge systems like Ayurveda. But at the same time, we should not be trapped or frozen by saying that we don't want to look ahead. Whatever was told by Charaka 4,000 years ago, we will blindly follow. I think that will not be the correct approach, because 4,000 years ago, Charak may have told you something, but now within this time period, nature has changed, human being has changed, everything around us has changed. So we have to study that. Some things may be correct, some things may have to be changed. So what that science is ultimately continuous experimentation. And I think this kind of and Ayurveda, I believe, is a science only. Ayurveda is a science. It is science of knowledge, science of life, and modern science can learn a lot from Ayurveda. This integrative approach and transdisciplinary approach will be a future, and with this approach, I think we'll be able to regain health, we'll be able to protect ourselves from diseases, and if at all diseases come, we'll be able to fight against those diseases. With these words, I would end my talk by saying that let's pray the Almighty that this current situation which we are facing, we win over that very soon, and we get normalcy very soon. And in the whole process, Ayurveda, yoga, and all Indian traditional systems participate actively, and people themselves, get away from this. Let's hope that that day will soon come. Till then, stay safe, stay home, and be protected. Namaskar and Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad, Vibha, for inviting me here. And I wish you all the best, and God bless you. May Dhanvantari bless you. Thank you.